the hidden world of the dark web. The internet, as we know it, is dominated by familiar platforms like YouTube, Facebook, and Google. However, beneath this visible surface lies a concealed and mysterious realm known as the dark web. This hidden world operates beyond the control of traditional regulatory authorities, hosting countless websites that evade conventional search engines. It is akin to a shadowy corner of the digital universe where conventional boundaries dissolve, giving rise to a virtual world teeming with anonymity and hidden dangers. At the heart of this clandestine domain was Silk Road, a notorious online marketplace that redefined the concept of a black market in the digital age. Dubbed the Amazon of drugs, Silk Road facilitated the trade of illegal goods and services ranging from drugs, weapons, and fake identities to human organs and even assassination services. Buyers could easily place orders with just a few clicks, and packages would arrive at their doorsteps as discreetly as if they had ordered a book or gadget from a legitimate e-commerce site. What made Silk Road even more extraordinary was its founder, Ross Ulbricht, a seemingly ordinary young man from Texas, USA. Ulbricht grew up in a warm, supportive family, excelled academically, and was actively involved in community service as a Boy Scout. He later pursued physics at university, embodying the image of a typical, ambitious young man. Yet behind this facade, he harbored radical libertarian ideals and an audacious dream to create an unregulated online marketplace where users could trade anything they desired, free from governmental interference. This first chapter of the Silk Road saga sets the stage for a journey into the depths of the dark web, revealing how one man's ideological vision spiraled into one of the most infamous and controversial ventures in internet history, the birth of Silk Road. Ross Ulbricht's vision for Silk Road was deeply rooted in his libertarian beliefs. He firmly believed that governments should not interfere in personal freedoms, particularly in areas like drug use, which he argued should be a personal choice. He often engaged in debates asserting that individuals should have the right to consume whatever substances they choose, free from government restrictions. To him, this was an expression of autonomy, much like the freedom to eat unhealthy food or drive potentially dangerous vehicles. This ideological framework became the foundation for the Silk Road. In 2010, while exploring tools to make his vision a reality, Ulbricht discovered the Tor browser, a tool initially developed by the US Navy to facilitate anonymous communication online. Tor allowed users to access the dark web, a hidden part of the internet invisible to regular search engines. However, Ulbricht needed a way to process anonymous payments. His breakthrough came when he learned about Bitcoin, a cryptocurrency that allowed for untraceable transactions. With these pieces in place, Ulbricht began building Silk Road from his small apartment, naming the platform after the ancient trade route that connected civilizations. He envisioned a digital marketplace where people could freely exchange goods and services without oversight or restrictions. To ensure secrecy, he worked entirely alone, even keeping his girlfriend, Julia, in the dark about the full scope of his plans. His strategy involved using forums dedicated to niche interests such as psychedelic mushrooms to discreetly advertise the site. After nearly a year of meticulous coding and planning, Silk Road launched in early 2011. Initially, Ulbricht only sold magic mushrooms he cultivated himself, but the site quickly attracted vendors from around the globe offering a wide variety of illegal products. With each transaction, Ulbricht took a commission, creating a steady revenue stream as the site gained popularity. Soon, Silk Road became a thriving marketplace where users could find everything from cannabis to harder substances like cocaine and ecstasy. As the platform grew, so did its reputation. Ulbricht, operating under the alias Dread Pirate Roberts, created a robust system of trust by allowing buyers and sellers to rate each other, similar to platforms like eBay. This not only attracted more users, but also gave the marketplace a veneer of reliability. By the end of 2011, Silk Road was no longer just a niche site. It had become a central hub for the global trade of illicit goods, marking the beginning of Ulbricht's rise as the mastermind of one of the dark web's most infamous empires, expansion and consequences. As Silk Road gained momentum, its scope expanded far beyond Ulbricht's initial vision. By the second year of operation, the site had grown into a marketplace with thousands of vendors and nearly 1 million registered users. Products ranged from recreational drugs to counterfeit documents, hacking tools, and more. Silk Road had become a self-sustaining ecosystem where anonymity reigned supreme, all facilitated by Bitcoin and the Tor browser. The rapid success brought challenges. To maintain and scale the platform, Ulbricht recruited a small team of administrators from among the site's loyal users. These individuals managed disputes, provided customer support, and even worked to patch vulnerabilities in the site's code. Despite this, Silk Road faced numerous technical issues, including hacking attempts, system glitches, and a critical error that temporarily caused Ulbricht to lose money on every transaction. Ulbricht's growing wealth, however, insulated him from these setbacks. At its peak, Silk Road generated weekly revenues of over $500,000, much of which flowed directly into Ulbricht's Bitcoin wallets. He dreamed of becoming a billionaire by age 30, a goal that seemed increasingly attainable. Yet this wealth also came with complications. As the platform expanded, it attracted attention not only from the media but also from law enforcement agencies worldwide. This newfound scrutiny revealed the darker side of Silk Road. While many users lauded the site as a revolutionary experiment in free market economics, it also facilitated transactions with devastating consequences. For instance, a news story emerged about a group of teenagers who purchased synthetic drugs through Silk Road. The substances, manufactured in unregulated laboratories, led to a tragic overdose and fatal consequences. Ulbricht, though not directly involved in such cases, bore the moral weight of his platform's role in enabling these transactions. Internally, the pressure mounted as well. Ulbricht became increasingly paranoid, fearing betrayal from those closest to him. This paranoia drove him to make morally questionable decisions, including allegedly hiring assassins to deal with perceived threats. Although none of these murders were ever carried out, many turned out to be elaborate scams. His willingness to resort to violence further complicated the narrative of a man who once dreamed of a freer, better world. As Silk Road thrived, it inadvertently became a symbol of both the promises and perils of the dark web. While some celebrated it as a triumph of personal liberty, others condemned it for its role in exacerbating societal issues like drug addiction and crime. This duality painted Ulbricht as both a visionary and a villain, a contradiction that would ultimately lead to his downfall, the investigation and capture. As Silk Road's reputation grew, so did the efforts to bring it down. Law enforcement agencies across the globe, including the FBI, DEA, and IRS, launched investigations into the site and its enigmatic administrator, known only as Dread Pirate Roberts, DPR. These efforts faced significant obstacles due to the site's anonymity, encrypted communications, and decentralized payment methods. However, it was a combination of meticulous detective work, and unexpected blunders that ultimately unraveled the empire. One pivotal breakthrough came from Gary Alford, an investigator with the IRS. Lacking advanced knowledge of Bitcoin or the Tor browser, Alford approached the case from a different angle. He traced the earliest online mentions of Silk Road to a user named Altoid on various forums. This user had posted promotional content about Silk Road and, in one instance, included an email address, rossulbricht@gmail.com. Alford's discovery connected Silk Road to a real person, Ross Ulbricht. Meanwhile, the FBI achieved another critical breakthrough by identifying the IP address of Silk Road's server, which was located in Iceland. The exact method used to uncover this information remains controversial. While US authorities claim they exploited a vulnerability in Silk Road's code, others speculated that illegal surveillance tactics may have been employed. Regardless, this access provided a treasure trove of information, including login records and server activity that revealed a pattern matching Ulbricht's movements. With these pieces in place, the FBI devised a plan to apprehend Ulbricht. Knowing that Silk Road's back-end systems were encrypted, they needed to catch him in the act of using his laptop while logged into the site's administrative interface. On October 1st, 2013, the FBI tracked Ulbricht to a public library in San Francisco. Disguised agents staged a distraction nearby, allowing another agent to seize his open laptop before he could lock it. Inside the laptop, investigators found irrefutable evidence linking Ulbricht to Silk Road. Chat logs, financial records, and administrative notes detailed his role as Dread Pirate Roberts. These records also revealed a series of disturbing actions, including payments to alleged assassins to eliminate individuals who Ulbricht believed were threats to his operation. Although no murders were ever carried out, these transactions painted a damning picture of Ulbricht's willingness to use violence to protect his empire. The arrest shocked the world. Ross Ulbricht, a seemingly ordinary young man with a promising academic background, had secretly built and managed one of the most notorious criminal enterprises in internet history. His capture marked the beginning of the end for Silk Road, as well as the unraveling of other conspiracies tied to the case, including corruption within law enforcement itself. 2 federal agents involved in the Silk Road investigation were later convicted for embezzling Bitcoin and abusing their authority during the operation. Ross Ulbricht's downfall demonstrated that no matter how sophisticated a system might seem, human error and arrogance can leave vulnerabilities. What began as a bold experiment in libertarian ideals ended with Ulbricht in custody, facing a mountain of evidence and the likelihood of spending the rest of his life in prison. Legacy and reflection. The fall of Silk Road was as dramatic as its rise. Ross Ulbricht, once a bright and idealistic libertarian, was sentenced in 2015 to 2 life terms plus 40 years in prison without the possibility of parole. The charges ranged from drug trafficking and money laundering to running a criminal enterprise, a conviction that underscored the government's resolve to make an example of him. Despite this, debates about the ethics of his actions and the severity of his punishment continue to rage. For Ulbricht, Silk Road began as an experiment in freedom, an online marketplace where people could trade without government interference. However, the reality of this freedom spiraled into a hub of illegal activity that facilitated devastating consequences. Drug overdoses, ruined lives, and the proliferation of criminal tools and services tarnished the platform's legacy. What started as an ideological pursuit became an uncontrollable beast, driven by greed, paranoia, and the moral compromises required to maintain its existence. The investigation into Silk Road also revealed startling corruption within law enforcement. 2 federal agents assigned to the case were found guilty of embezzling Bitcoin and manipulating the investigation for personal gain, highlighting the complexities and temptations in pursuing digital crimes. Yet, despite Ulbricht's downfall, his vision of a free market platform persisted. The shutdown of Silk Road led to the rise of copycat sites, including Silk Road 2.0, which also fell quickly to law enforcement. This cycle of takedowns and revivals underscores the enduring allure of the dark web and the challenges in eradicating it entirely. The legacy of Silk Road has become a cautionary tale, demonstrating both the potential and the dangers of unchecked anonymity in the digital age. For many, Ulbricht remains a polarizing figure. Supporters view him as a martyr for libertarian ideals and personal freedoms, while critics see him as a reckless criminal who profited from human suffering. His case raises profound questions about the balance between freedom and regulation. In an increasingly digital world, it also serves as a stark reminder that actions, no matter how ideologically driven, can have far-reaching and unintended consequences. In the end, the story of Silk Road and Ross Ulbricht is not just about the dark web or an individual's fall from grace. It is a reflection of our evolving relationship with technology, anonymity, and responsibility. It challenges us to think critically about the ethical boundaries of innovation and the human cost of pursuing ideals without regard for their consequences, whether seen as a cautionary tale or a symbol of resistance. Silk Road remains a defining chapter in the history of the internet and a testament to the complexity of human ambition.